for Daily Dose, presented by FanDuel. For that, we say hi and happy Thursday to our good friend and fantasy expert, Rob Reese. Rob, let's start talking about coaches. What's the fantasy impact of some of the coaching changes that we've seen?
Sure, Jackie. Let's start with the Buffalo Sabres. They made a major announcement yesterday, hiring Ralph Krueger as their new head coach. I'm looking at three players that this affects. Number one, Jack Eichel. Then you have the two defensemen, Rasmus Dahlin and Rasmus Ristolainen. Now, a lot of people forget, Buffalo had the most points in the NHL last season through the first 25 games, including a 10-game winning streak. Now, it didn't go so well. They had the fewest points in the last 57 games, so a stark contrast there. But for their two defensemen, specifically Rasmus Ristolainen, he was worse in the NHL with a -41 rating. Now, if Ralph Krueger can come in there, maybe make some defensive adjustments, and his plus-minus goes positive in his career, maybe, just maybe, he could be among the top 10 defensemen remaining at the position. So I'm really excited to see what happens at Buffalo. They do have some goaltender question marks at fantasy that I am concerned about, but I think for their forward group and for their defense group, they should get a boost in value from that hire. Now, for the Florida Panthers, they brought in Joel Quenneville, a major announcement for them too. I'm looking at a couple different players there. I'm looking at Alexander Barkov, Jonathan Huberdeau, and Keith Yandle. Now, the two forwards that I mentioned, Barkov and Huberdeau, they formed great chemistry last year, skating on the top line together. Barkov smashed an NHL career high with 96 points. Huberdeau smashed his with 92 points, but do not sleep on defenseman Keith Yandle. I think this is going to be a slam dunk pick in fantasy next season. Keep in mind, Yandle had 39 power play points last year. That was first at the position of all defensemen. Now, the only thing that cost him in the final standings in fantasy was his -17 rating. So look for Coach Q in Florida to maybe get a little bit of a defensive structure going there, and big things coming for Keith Yandle. And then Alain Vigneault for the Philadelphia Flyers. Good hire there for them. I'm excited to see what happens. Players I'm looking at, Claude Giroux, Sean Couturier, and goalie Carter Hart. Now, the Flyers last season had 5 20-goal scorers, so offense is not their concern whatsoever. It's very dynamic. Claude Giroux, Sean Couturier, very valuable in fantasy for the past 2 seasons. You can bank on that for a third straight. But the goalie, Carter Hart, this is who I'm watching. He was 16-13-1 with a .917 save percentage last season. He was a rookie on a Flyers team that was a little shaky defensively. So I think if Alain Vigneault comes in there, sets a better culture, sets a better tone, Carter Hart could be a steal in fantasy drafts, maybe even go as high as top 100. And look, he's going to be the starter for sure. They have 2 backup goaltenders that are currently could become UFAs on July 1st. So Carter Hart, really next season, do not sleep on this pick. Pick him up in the top 100, maybe top 150 if he really falls.
Yeah, what a story Carter Hart was this season for the Philadelphia Flyers once he eventually was called upon to make his first NHL start. All right, Rob, big game tonight in Carolina. The Canes looking to stay alive. The Boston Bruins looking to punch their ticket to the Stanley Cup final. Where do you see value for our daily players out there?
All right, there is a lot of good value on this slate tonight, but I can't recommend jumping in front of the Boston train and going against the grain. I've got to stick with the Bees tonight. My center is going to be David Krejci for $6,100. I'm very confident about this pick tonight. He had an assist in Game 3, extended his point streak to 5 games, and he has the second most games with at least 1 point in the playoffs. That's 12 games behind Logan Couture of the San Jose Sharks, who has 13. And then Krejci also ranked second on the Bruins in scoring. So I really much like that price point at $6,300 tonight. Now, my wing is Justin Williams, $5,600 for the Carolina Hurricanes. How can we not get Mr. Elimination in the DFS lineup? He had 6 shots on goal in Game 3, but he didn't have any points, so there's a little bounce back appeal here. He does, however, have 28 points in 24 games when facing elimination. That stat is just ridiculous. So even if Carolina loses tonight, get him in your lineup regardless. My defenseman, Charlie McAvoy, for $5,100. Amazing value tonight. He had an assist, 1 shot on goal, and 4 blocks in Game 3. So literally every DFS category except for a goal. He also led the Bees in ice time that game. So you're talking about exposure to Marchand, Pasternak, Bergeron, the whole company there. Get McAvoy, big price point for $5,100. And then my goalie, Tuukka Rask. How can we pick against Tuukka? $9,000, a whopping $9,000. I don't know if I've seen the 9K mark yet this season, but I'm paying it tonight for Tuukka Rask. He's won 6 straight games with 1 shutout and a .956 save percentage over that span. He's allowed 2 or fewer goals in 5 of the past 6 games. I don't know how you can bet against that right now.
No, you can't. Tuukka, definitely the hottest goaltender of these entire Stanley Cup playoffs, and I love that Justin Williams pick, not just because he's such an elimination game performer, but also could be the last time we ever see Justin Williams play a game in the National Hockey League, a story we'll have to keep an eye on should the Canes get eliminated tonight by the Boston Bruins. Good luck with your picks, Rob, and good luck to anyone out there taking your advice.
Thanks.
All right, you can make the NHL playoffs even more exciting by entering the 3-man challenge on FanDuel. All you have to do is pick 3 players to create your lineup and score points for goals, assists, and penalty minutes. You can visit FanDuel.com/NHL to play now.